Wanted to show you a few trees that are putting on a second crop this season. This first one is my Patamba. I planted it in February and it flowered shortly afterwards in late May. Its first fruit set was small, only about a handful fruit developed. The second crop is slightly bigger. The blooms from the second crop flowered in mid-August. I've already harvested a few. I picked the first fruit towards the end of October, so flower to fruit is just about 2 months. I'd also like to point out that the second fruit set is much better in flavor. The first harvest was slightly sweet with a distinct tart flavor. The second harvest is much less tart in flavor. It does still have a bit of a tart taste to it, but not nearly as much as the first harvest. This tree, as well as the ice cream bean tree and Grumi Chama next to it, are all doing really well. They were planted utilizing high density technique. They're spaced at about 24 inches apart in a triangular shape. If you search my channel, you will find a video showing you how I planted them, as well as the other trees along this area. When I planted these trees, I was a bit concerned how they would do being planted so close together. I wasn't too worried about the Pitomba and Grumi Chama. From research I've done, both the Patamba and Grumi Chama belong to the same Eugenia family. I didn't think there would be a problem putting them close together, but the ice cream bean tree belongs to a different family. It's also a tree that's referred to as a nitrogen fixer. The roots off this tree contain nitrogen fixing bacteria, which is why they're referred to as nitrogen fixers. I really wasn't sure how that would affect the other trees that are planted close to it, but it appears it won't be a problem. The Patamba is a slow-growing tree, but it's doing well. The Grumi Chama hasn't produced any fruit, but it's also doing well. The ice cream bean tree, as you can see, is doing extremely well. It has put on a lot of new healthy leaves, and it's put on a really good amount of growth. We recently had some strong winds in our area and the ice cream bean tree fell over. It was tied to a pole that broke off. I had to install these posts to keep it from bending over again. I don't think the tree was damaged. This tree has put on so much growth that it's really top heavy. I've already pruned it once and it looks like I'll have to prune it again. I'd like to keep it at about 6 to 7 feet, but it's definitely going to need to be pruned, especially those upper branches. Next up are these fig trees. That's a Peter's honey in the front, a blackjack in the back left, and then Excel fig in the back right. All of these trees produced a really small Breba crop earlier this season. The Peter's honey here in the front is the one that's put on the most growth. All of these fig trees have only been in the ground for about 8 months, and this is their first main crop. And as you can see, the Peter's honey is putting on a good crop. The trees don't have much branching, but they are all loaded with figs. I harvested a fig off the Peter's honey a few days ago, but the majority of the figs on this tree, as are the figs that are developing on the other trees, which I'll show you in a few, are still a ways from being ripe. The weather is starting to cool off, and I'm a bit concerned these figs won't have enough time to ripen before it gets cold. I did a little research and found that it's possible to get your fig trees to focus its energy on fruit development by pinching off the tips of the branches. All 3 of these fig trees have fruit that is developing. I went through and pinched off the tips on all the branches of all of these trees. I did this in mid-October, but I really should have done it sooner. The Peter's honey is the one that is furthest along. The blackjack fig also had a good amount of figs on it. And the Excel also has a few. Between all of these fig trees, the Excel was the last to start developing fruit. I didn't think I was going to get any off of it, but it did manage to develop a few. Here's what the branches look like after they were pinched. Just the ends were cut off. Every one of them, every branch on these trees were pinched, even the tall ones like this one here off the blackjack fig, and the one next to it. Had to use a ladder to get this one off the Peter's honey pinched, but I also did that one as well. Hopefully the pinching technique will work and I'll get plenty of fruit off of these trees. This next one here is my Surinam Cherry tree. This is a black variety. Per nursery info, this tree will grow in zones 8 through 11, but as you can see, it does well in a container. So if you are outside of these growing zones, you can keep it in a container and move it in to a protected area during the winter months. I have mine growing in a 15-gallon container, and it has done well. Back in mid-May, I started to pick fruit off of it. It kept producing fruit up until around mid-June. In all, I'm guessing it produced about 100 or so. And now, as you can see, it's putting out another crop. This one is not as big as the first crop, but it has done really well and is a steady producer, even as a container-grown tree. I do eventually plan to put this in the ground, but not until next season. I also have this other one here that was planted in the ground a little over 2 years ago. It's a red variety. It's put on good growth but has not produced a crop. And here's another one, also growing in a 15-gallon container. I purchased this tree 18 months ago. It was only standing about 2 feet tall with very little branching. Here's what it looked like after transplanting. When I purchased this one, I was told that it was a black variety. It recently developed its first and only fruit. The fruit off these trees are green in color when they begin to develop. Eventually they change to red, and if it's a black variety, they will change to a deep black, purple color. When the fruit is ready for harvest, they will come off the tree with the slightest touch. This one here, although I was told is a black variety, I believe is actually a red one. This fruit was harvested a few days after taking this video, and it never turned black. We'll see how it does next fruit set, but I'm fairly certain it's a red variety. Well, that'll be it for now. I hope you enjoyed watching. If so, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel so you can follow along as my backyard orchard matures. As always, stay safe, grow your own, and thank you for watching.